Hi, welcome to our 60-minute yin flow. For today's practice, you're gonna want with you a bolster or a pillow from your bed works just fine, a blanket, and one block, possibly two blocks. Thick, sturdy books or shoe boxes will work just as well. Reminder, I recommend some comfy clothing, nothing that's too loose or too tight or restrictive, something you feel really good in. And I will be guiding us in and out of the poses. Other than that, I'm pretty quiet. So you might want on some soothing music or a playlist that you enjoy, something to allow your mind to release. So give you some time to get settled in, maybe grab your favorite beverage. If you're doing this in the morning, some coffee. If you're doing it at night, some wine, no judgment. We are gonna start in an easy seat. So taking some time to settle in. You might wanna sit on a blanket to raise your hips just a tiny bit, or you can try sitting on a bolster to raise your hips a little more. That might feel better. Taking some time here, hands can rest on knees, eyes can soften or close. Maybe starting by reaching shoulders up towards your ears and then circling them down the back body, taking a few shoulder circles here. Might help with that hunch that can sometimes come in a seated position. Settling into stillness, shoulders reaching away from the ears, crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Taking some time here to settle in. Notice the natural rhythm of your breath. This is also a perfect time to maybe set an intention for class or an affirmation. So if your intention is to be fully present during this class, you can use the affirmation, I am here. Inhale, I am. Exhale, here. Or if there's something you're really wanting to feel into in your life, you can use that as an affirmation. You can inhale, I am. Exhale, confident. Inhale, I am. Exhale, at peace. Whatever feels best to you. Can just be nice to have something to bring the mind back to. As the mind might start to wander, reminder that that's okay, that's totally normal. Just nudging it back to practice. Similar to those other shapes we do in yoga, balancing poses when we fall out, just returning back without judgment. Next round of breath, stay seated, but switch out the leg that you have in front. This might not be your preferred leg, might feel a little awkward. So take some time to wiggle and adjust. Then when you're ready, right ear reaches towards right shoulder. You can bring right hand over top of the head so it's resting maybe on top of that left ear. Some gentle pressure here, but nothing forcing or cranking on the neck. Just inviting a nice neck stretch. Next round of breath, release, neck back to neutral, hands to knees, maybe taking a few nods up and down here. Bringing right ear to right shoulder, then rolling forward, left ear to left shoulder. Rolling back, right ear to right shoulder. And once more, ending on that left side. Right arm can come overhead. Maybe using that as a little gentle weight for neck stretch on the other side. Next round of breath, gentle release. Then maybe taking a few cat cows. Inhale, pull your heart forward, shoulder blades squeeze together. Exhale, rounds the spine. Inhale, heart comes forward. Exhale, rounds the spine. And setting up for our next pose. Again, giving yourself some time because we'll be here for a little bit. This is going to be a butterfly pose. So I will stay seated on my blankets, and then I like to bring the bolster under my knees. So as my knees fall open, they're supported here. You can also do that with blocks on either side, or if you would prefer to have your knees a little closer to the ground, you can remove the bolster. So again, taking your time to find what feels best. And then settling in. Hands can rest here on shins or on ankles or on toes. Allowing yourself just to be heavy, not pulling or forcing yourself too far into the pose. Reminding yourself we just go at about 70%. Allowing your eyes to soften, body and mind to settle into stillness. Start to notice your breath here. Giving yourself a few more rounds of breath in this pose. Maybe lengthening the inhales and the exhales just a little bit. Next round of breath, pulling yourself back up, giving yourself permission to move slowly here. You can remove props, maybe planting the feet on the mat, arms behind you for some wipers here, just allowing the knees to fall side to side. Then settling into stillness once more. We'll come to a half butterfly variation. So again, taking your time to set up here, maybe sitting on a blanket to raise your hips a little bit. We'll start with left leg pressed in, similar to where we had it in butterfly, and then we'll extend the right leg long. This would be our traditional shape here, just feet on the mat. If you would like, it can feel good to put that bolster under your extended leg. Just gives you a little more space in this shape. But again, completely not necessary. So just finding what feels best for you. If you feel like the bolster is a little too thick, you're welcome to fold the blanket and put it under your leg as well. Take your time here to settle into your pose. Take your time to try different prop configurations. Finding what feels best in your body is a really important part of our yin practice. Beginning once more to check in with your body, reminding yourself it's okay to take your time and move slowly. Hands start to walk in towards your body, helping lift your chest. Removing your props. Take a little twist here before the other side. So taking that bent knee, place left foot over right. Right arm reaches around, and then a gentle twist. Left hand can prop up behind you. Just breathing into that for a few rounds of breath. Using your next exhale, you can release both legs long and then setting up for the other side. On this side, I prefer to use just the blanket. So again, finding what serves you best. This time, right sole of the foot will press into left thigh. Once you've settled in with your props, allowing your heart to be heavy, crown of the head reaching towards that extended leg. Starting to notice your breath. Using your next full round of breath to gently lift your body back out of that pose, removing props that you may have and finding that twist once more. So this time, right leg will place over left, left arm reaches in front, wrap around that knee, and then twisting. Gaze can drift over your right shoulder. And a gentle release. Taking one of your blocks with you, we'll set up for deer pose. So, block at the top of the mat. We'll start with right shin parallel to the top of the mat, and then left shin parallel with the long edge of your mat. You can have the block at whatever setting feels best for you. Walking your arms forward, maybe resting your forearms here. You can use the block at a higher setting if you need a little more space. Also, I like a little extra softness, so I just add the blanket over top of my block. Once you're here, allowing the crown of the head to be heavy. Checking in with your body if this is enough. Option to stay right here in deer pose. If you would like to come deeper, we can extend back leg long for swan pose, or you might have heard that called pigeon in other practices. So again, just checking in with your body, what feels best for today, what serves you today, and allowing yourself to settle in. Eyes can soften or close. Checking in with your body. Give yourself 3 full rounds of breath. Not rushing here, just following your natural rhythm. Once that's complete for you, pressing hands into block, lifting your heart. We've done this in other practices. You can just bring your hands behind your hips, rotating towards the back, and then rotating again towards the front. Taking some more extreme, windshield wipers, little wider stance. And then settling back at the top. This time, left shin parallel at the top of the mat, right shin parallel at the long edge. Taking time, adjusting your props, settling into your shape. Reminder that you're encouraged to stay still once you settle into your shape, but you always have absolute permission to change your mind. During that last pose, I needed to adjust my props. So just listening to your body that way. Checking in with yourself, noticing, is it the discomfort of the actual pose that I need to adjust? Or is it discomfort of stillness? Is it something that I can lean into? Not judging either way, just noticing. taking care of yourself by moving slowly and gently, lifting back out of the pose, and then inviting those windshield wipers once more. Just taking that wider stance, giving yourself a little time here. Then removing your block. If you have that blanket, we're going to set up for Sphinx pose. Some people enjoy having blanket under their hips during Sphinx. That can be nice to have a little extra cushioning. So maybe trying that. Also, you can try having a bolster under your rib cage. So as you settle down, elbows under shoulders, hands can press into mat or clasp in front of you. Check in, try that bolster or that pillow. If it doesn't feel good, you just take it out. So we'll be here for a few moments, few minutes. If this is too much on your back, or if any point you want to lower down, you're welcome to stack fists or use your block and rest your forehead there. This is a little bit more of an active pose for Yin, pulling that heart through. Low body releases. Eyes can soften or close. And just giving yourself permission. Listening to your body. If you need to come out of the pose before I prompt it, you are absolutely welcome to. We'll be here for about 5 more rounds of breath. If it's time for you to come out, you're welcome to. If a bit of a deeper back bend sounds good for these last few moments, hands can come out at 45 degrees, pressing into your palms for seal. Again, scanning the body if that causes any pinching or zinging, just releasing right out of it. Next round of breath, lowering down, removing that bolster if you have it. So just laying flat on the mat, stacking hands under forehead. Bend both knees. You reverse windshield wipers here. So heels falling to either side. And then we'll be briefly in half frog leg. So bringing that blanket first to the left side of your mat. Left knee comes at a 90 degrees. Then you can have ankle right at 90 degrees with your knee or slightly in front of it. Forehead can rest on hands, or if it feels good, you can try turning your neck. Left cheek rests on the mat. Be here for a shorter amount of time. Still giving your time to settle into this pose. Next, run a breath, gently unwinding, extending left leg long, moving that blanket towards the other side of your mat. So now on the right. And setting up for half frog leg on this side. Right leg bends at 90 degrees, resting that knee and that ankle on your blanket. Ankle can be slightly in front of your knee or right in line, whatever feels best for you. Stack your hands, rest your forehead, or turn and rest your right cheek on the mat. Next, round of breath, gently pulling yourself out of that pose, coming to a tabletop just for a moment. Again, still moving slowly. Knees under shoulders, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Rocking your hips just side to side a little bit. Little extra movement here. And then we'll settle into a child's pose. Again, some options here for your props. I like to make a little like blanket burrito. Roll it up a little bit so it's a little thinner than my bolster. And I set it right on top of my ankles, which helps my hips reach my ankles, puts a little less pressure. You can also use a blanket under your knees if you like that cushioning. Then allowing your body, you can fall heavy here in a typical child's pose. I also like the bolster lengthwise in front of me, and I rest here for child's pose. So again, using your props, taking your time, find what feels best for you. If you're using that bolster, just turning your cheek to the other side. If your mind starts to wander, just nudging it back. Maybe using that affirmation. Inhale, I am. Exhale, at peace. Next round of breath, gently walking hands in, slowly lifting your heart. Then removing those props. We'll set up for seated straddle. So if you are in the traditional lengthwise on your mat, you might want to come to this side so that your heels can be supported. I like the blanket under my seat. You can also do the bolster under your seat, just lifts it a little bit more. Legs come out as wide as is comfortable in your body. And then bringing your blocks. You might have just one block. You might have two. You might have a block and a bolster. Just creating a little shelf to rest your forearms, allowing your heart to pull through, feeling that stretch in your legs, but not causing any pain. Not going too far. If this feels like too much, you're welcome to bring soles of the feet to the mat, really bending into those knees. That can feel good. Just take some time here. Settle into your shape. And once you find it, allow your eyes to soften or close once more. Bringing awareness back to your breath. Slow inhales and exhales. Give yourself 3 more rounds of breath here. When that's complete, giving yourself that time to gently lift back out of our posture. Removing any props. Lifting legs, the soles of the feet are on the mat. Hands come behind you, a few windshield wipers, knees dropping to either side. Releasing that low back. Then we'll set up for some of our more restorative poses before we settle into Shavasana. First one's going to be a twist with a bolster. This is one that we've done before in other practices, but we're going to put a little twist on it. So we're going to make a little ramp. Bolster lengthwise is going to be next to your hip. We'll start with left hip right at the edge of that bolster. And then using your block at whichever setting feels best. So again, you can play with this a little bit. I like my block at, I think, the medium setting or maybe the lowest setting. We'll settle in here. First, both hands come to either side and then laying your cheek down, right cheek on the mat for that twist. You can pause right here, hands settling in. If you'd like to go a little deeper, you can rotate so left cheek is on the bolster. Again, making any adjustments to your ramp, to your pose, then allowing your eyes to soften or close here. Not rushing your breath. Use your next exhale to press hands into mat, lifting hard out of the pose. And then setting up on the other side. You can move your bolster, just switch your hips to the other side. So again, bringing that block with you. Bolster rests lengthwise. Taking your time to construct your little ramp. This time, right hip against the edge of the ramp. You can also bring a blanket over your feet or your lower half. That can feel really grounding if you're someone like me who just likes to bundle. Then first, hands walking out towards that ramp. Resting right cheek first, option to stay here. Or if a deeper twist sounds better, rotating so left cheek is on the bolster. Softening or closing the eyes. Using an entire round of breath, you can gently begin to lift yourself back out of that once more, preparing for our final pose. If you'd like to end your practice in a seated meditation, you are welcome to do so. If you would like to end practice in Shavasana, we'll prepare for that. Taking your time again, you already have all the props out, so might as well use them. Can settle down, maybe bolster comes under knees, creates a little more space there. It can feel really good to have the blanket over your feet or unfolding the whole thing, covering your entire body. Arms down at a low V. Eyes softened or closed. Allow your body to be heavy here. Allow your body to take up space here. Mind yourself that this pose is just as important as any other pose we did today. Give yourself full permission to release and relax in this posture, and know that I'll let you know when it's time to come out. body can remain still. If it's available to you today, you're welcome to stay in this place of rest. If it's time to close out your practice, maybe starting with some deeper inhales and exhales, wiggling your fingers and your toes, rolling out your wrists or your ankles. A nice good morning stretch, fingertips reaching one way, toes the other. Just whatever movement feels best to wake up your body before gently guiding yourself to a fetal position on your preferred side. When you're ready, you can slowly press yourself up to any comfortable seat, taking your time with eyes still soft or closed to really enjoy these last few moments together. Thanking yourself for showing up on your mat today, honoring your body with movement and with rest, maybe challenging yourself with some quiet and some stillness. We'll close with a collective round of breath. You can exhale to prepare. Inhale, fingertips reach to the sky. Exhale, pull your hands to heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Thank you for being part of this rad community. And I hope you go and have a beautiful rest of your day.